Hi, and welcome to another episode of Healthcare Simplified with Manvir Victor. I'm your host. Thank you for being here with us. Today, we are going to unpack something quite serious. Could have been detrimental to a lot of us, possibly was. I have with me a guest, Dr. Shankara Chetty, all the way from South Africa. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Manvir.
And before we get into the real crux of the matter, let's find out a little bit about yourself, right? Dr. Shankara, you are a doctor, a medical doctor, but you are more than that. You did something before you became a doctor. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I'm a natural life science biologist.
Okay.
I did an honors in genetics.
Okay.
Advanced biology was one of my majors.
Okay.
I went back to undergraduate and added microbiology and biochemistry as sub-majors to my degree.
Okay.
And as a natural science biologist, I got accepted to do medicine in India.
Right.
And so I went and spent another 7 years studying medicine there.
Okay.
So my medical background is always based in natural science.
Okay. Was that a plan initially for you from your microbiology to go into being a doctor at all?
Look, I was very interested in nature and the sciences.
Okay.
But I think it was more my dad that wanted me to be a doctor.
Oh, okay.
And of course, when I had all the science, he said, "Look, you got this broad base of knowledge.
Yeah.
Why don't you apply?" It was difficult in that I was already a postgraduate to go back to an undergraduate degree,
Okay.
so we couldn't get a place.
Right.
But it just so happened he sent my CV to JSS Medical College in India, one of
Right.
the better colleges,
Yeah.
and they accepted me immediately.
Okay.
And so within a month of my application, I was on a flight to India, to a new country I'd never been to before, to study medicine.
Okay. So you live in South Africa. Which part?
In Port Edward, which is on the east coast.
Okay. That is closest to the
Durban.
Durban, biggest city.
Port, yeah.
And you're born and bred in South Africa?
Yes, I'm born and bred in South Africa. I'm actually fourth generation South African.
Fourth generation South African. So now you have a practice in Port Edward.
Yes.
Okay. And it's a GP practice?
Yes, it's a GP private practice. I actually live and work in the same place.
Oh,
my
okay.
home is above my practice.
Okay, okay, very nice. So now let's get into this because to coin what Denzel Washington said in the movie Philadelphia, you're going to have to explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any of those degrees that you have, but I'm going to try to understand and unpack this a little bit. Now, very interestingly, you're here in Malaysia and you're leaving soon, but I read that you treated 14,000, that's 14,000 acute COVID patients, and you had 0 deaths, 0 hospitalization, and 0 patients on ventilators.
Yeah, actually 0 patients that required oxygen. I never kept oxygen in my practice.
Okay.
So I had very quick recoveries.
Quick recoveries.
Very quick recoveries. So there was no need for me to keep oxygen and have patients on oxygen. That would require a long-term, keeping them overnight. And
Right.
So with treatment, I saw such speedy returns to good oxygen saturations that I didn't need oxygen. Within a few hours, I saw benefits.
Within a few hours. So now I've been doing some reading on you, of course, and trying to understand COVID. Thousands, millions died from this.
Yes.
Millions were on ventilators.
Yes.
I mean, billions have now been vaccinated. But you did something, 14,000. No hospitalizations, no ventilation, and it's literally outpatient.
Outpatient, completely outpatient.
Outpatient, right? So what is COVID? How is it that you managed to find a way when the world didn't find a way?
I think, Manvir, I had an understanding
Okay.
of what was at play. We had a virus in Wuhan
Right.
that was causing mortality.
Yeah.
I knew I'm not going to get good information out of China. It spread to Italy. When it got to Italy, I started looking at the symptoms patients were presenting with to try and understand what I might face when it comes to South Africa. And I noticed that patients were having breathlessness, oxygen saturations decreasing suddenly.
Okay.
And it looked like people were unaware of the extent of their illness. Meaning, if you're acutely unwell, you stay at home. But we were hearing of people dropping dead on the street and collapsing on the road. And so it showed that this was something sudden.
Sudden, yeah.
Yeah, if you were very acutely ill, you're not going to leave home.
Yeah.
And then what happened was they sequenced the virus to make the PCR test.
Okay. It's in Italy.
Yes, we got the first sequence of the virus.
Okay.
There was an article that compared the coronavirus sequence from SARS-CoV-2 to the other coronaviruses that we've been exposed to in the past. And of course, we've been exposed to coronaviruses all our lives and never had this kind of bad reaction to it.
Okay.
And so in that comparison, I had noticed that there was an insert in this virus.
There's an insert?
Yeah, a genetic insert into the virus, which was not a natural mutation that usually occurs as viruses evolve.
Okay. Just hang on a second. So it's an insert, meaning that in this virus sequence,
yes,
there is someone has put something in.
Yes, someone clipped it and added a piece in.
So that's man-made.
That's definitely man-made. I had no reservations about calling it man-made before I even saw the first case. From my genetic background and looking at the genome sequence in the virus,
right,
I knew this came out of a lab. Nature doesn't do things in that way. To put it in the layman's terms,
right,
your genetic sequence is like a chapter in a book.
Yeah.
And you keep rewriting that chapter and making sure you make no mistakes.
Right.
If there's a mistake, it's usually a single letter in one word.
Sure.
And we have the ability to correct those one alphabet mistakes.
Okay.
But this was a sentence that was inserted into the chapter. It made sense.
Right.
And it changed the meaning of the chapter.
Right.
So clearly,
yeah,
that was in nature.
Sure.
There was an intent behind it.
Okay.
So understanding that, at that time, they were saying doctors shouldn't see patients, close your practice, isolate for 14 days. We weren't allowed to do autopsies. Now, if you can't understand how a virus is killing people,
right,
how it's injuring people, you're never going to figure out how to stop that.
So this is not the doctor part of you. This is the genetics part
of you that's coming to these conclusions to say.
Yeah.
But it's giving me the curiosity to want to look at a patient, figure out something's not right.
Right. Okay.
And that was where I started my understanding of what I'm going to face.
And what did you learn?
Well, I decided I want to see patients. I'm not going to do telemedicine.
Okay.
I have to triage patients. So I kept my practice open throughout the pandemic.
Right.
I put a 3-room A-frame tent in my parking.
Okay.
Every patient that came to the gate got triaged. If it looked like COVID or a flu-like illness, they got to be seated outside in the sun. The rest that were not could go into my practice.
Okay.
So those that were there for other reasons, I still had my services available to them.
Yeah.
But my whole intention was to examine COVID patients and figure out what's the pathology.
Okay.
Why are people dying?
So when you say pathology, what does that mean?
That means how does this virus cause the illness?
Yeah.
And how does that illness evolve to the point where a patient demised?
Right.
And understanding that pathophysiology, how does it influence the human body?
Right.
You can formulate a treatment strategy.
Okay. All right. We follow you so far. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Then I saw and of course, everyone was terrified. So the fact that I was going to be open, it brought hope to my community that they had someone there that's going to stand up for them.
Right.
And I saw the first 20 COVID positive patients.
Okay.
But in that 20, all of them had a typical viral illness, body aches and pains, a bit of sore throat, fever. And none of them were breathless. None of them had any lung pathology.
Okay.
It was all sore throats and runny noses. I treated them symptomatically. But I advised every one of them that people are dying of breathlessness.
Right.
And the minute you get breathless, you come and show it to me.
Okay.
Because I want to examine that symptom. And of course, in India, you're taught to really interrogate symptoms.
Right.
And then I got the first patient that came in breathless.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Not suddenly breathless. When I examined that patient, there was no restriction to airflow. They could breathe easily in and out, unlike asthma where there's a tightness.
Right.
But what I noticed was that they couldn't take a deep breath. Okay. There was a restriction to the elasticity of the lung.
All right.
So it was short, rapid breathing. Okay. And it looked like the saturation drop. It was because of some kind of pathology in the lung that prevented oxygen from being absorbed effectively.
Okay.
So looking at that, I decided, I knew that a steroid would stop a reaction. Okay. It's an emergency medication.
Sure.
And you can use it in that situation. So I put the first patient on a steroid and watched the speed to recovery.
Okay.
I think within 4 days, that patient was well on their way to recovery.
So again, just no oxygen, No
Nothing.
hospitalization, just give them steroids.
Just on that day, a high-dose steroid,
Send them back.
and keep an eye on them for the few days to see that the oxygen saturations are improving.
Right,
It improved quite rapidly.
right,
And within 3 or 4 days, they were back into the 99, 100% oxygen.
right.
So I thought, okay, a steroid
And
works.
this is from, you're saying 60%.
No, these were the first patients.
Okay.
And they were having saturations around 80%.
80%,
The first
okay.
patient.
Right.
And then I looked at it and I thought, if the patient's recovering, I looked at how did you get to that point of breathlessness?
Right,
And when I got to the second and third patient, I started noticing trends
right.
that these patients that were decompensating exactly 1 week
So
after they picked up the initial infection.
what do you mean by decompensating?
Means suddenly becoming breathless.
Oh, okay, so you're fine and then
Suddenly.
you drop off a cliff.
Not. Because when I questioned these patients, some of them, when they came in breathless,
Yeah,
the day before they were engaging in sport.
they're
Like,
playing.
yeah, they were engaging in sport like they had gotten over the virus.
Right,
So they thought they were home free.
right.
And suddenly woke up that morning feeling tired. By lunchtime, we're noticing breathlessness. By evening, required oxygen. So there's very few illnesses that will get you to decompensate in such a rapid way. And one of them is anaphylaxis.
Anaphylaxis.
A severe allergic reaction to something you're highly allergic to. Like getting a bee sting and having your face swell.
Yeah.
And if your face swells, I got to be quick and aggressive to stop it. Within a few days, if I don't treat you, you're going to end up in multi-organ failure.
Okay.
And that's where the 14-day was a bad idea.
Okay.
Keeping patients isolated for 14 days. When they eventually got to hospital,
Yeah.
they were far too down that line of anaphylaxis.
Right.
And doctors were noticing patients coming in multi-organ failure. But nobody had told the doctor that the patient had a severe allergic reaction on the 8th day. He was seeing the consequences of not treating it.
So this is the crux of the 8-day treatment that was coined.
Yes, was the 8th day came about as to that's the day
Yeah.
that you might decompensate. But it was dependent on whether you would react to something or not.
Okay.
So not everyone's allergic to a bee sting.
Sure. Yeah.
So you got some react and some went past like nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I knew that there's an insert in this virus.
Okay.
We're having a different kind of reaction.
Okay.
And you're having an allergic reaction triggered on the 8th day to something unusual.
Okay.
And so I kept looking at that insert thinking, it's likely that's causing, it makes a protein in your body
Okay.
that we're allergic to. Some. And that
Some
was
of
my premise in treating.
Okay. So your treatment was a high dose of steroids and
Antihistamines.
antihistamines for what reason?
Well, if you're treating an anaphylactic reaction, when you react to something,
Yeah.
you have a release of a broad range of chemical mediators,
Okay.
which cause the swelling and the symptomatic deterioration of the patient. But it is an inappropriate immune response. So it's like opening a tap that's pouring out poison.
Okay.
You got to do two things. You got to mop the floor.
Yeah.
You got to turn off the tap at the same time. You only do one, you'll never win the game.
Sure. Right.
So the steroid is there to turn the tap off, means reset the immunity.
Okay.
The antihistamines, montelukast, all the other drugs I used was to mop the floor. That you need an understanding of the chemical mediators that get released during an allergic process.
Okay.
And so you know what to mop up.
Yeah.
So I used the steroid in the first patient or two. And then I thought, okay, I got a 4-day recovery period.
Yeah.
Let me try an antihistamine. And if I can speed up the recovery, then I'm on the right track.
Okay.
And so I think the fourth or fifth patient that came in, she had an 80% saturation on the 8th day.
Okay.
Diabetic as well.
Right.
So I was a bit concerned about using steroids for too long on her. So I thought, well, I'll start the steroid, but I'll give her a day's dose of antihistamine.
1 day.
Just 1 day.
Okay.
Three tablets, morning, lunch, and evening.
Right.
And see if that made a difference. And the next day when I phoned her, she was perfectly fine.
Okay.
She had recovered completely.
Right.
But remember, you got to keep the antihistamine going for a while.
Right.
Till the reaction quietened down, you made the immunity restore itself. Otherwise, you're going to have it flare up again.
Okay.
So I explained to her, I said, look, you're feeling a lot better, but I expect by tomorrow, you'll notice the breathlessness come back.
Okay.
And I need to know. And the next day she contacted me and said, yes, it's back. Called her in, put her back on the treatment, and she promptly recovered. Now, that was my idea of a clinical trial.
Okay. All right.
Putting a patient on a medication, seeing the benefit, taking it away, seeing a deterioration, back on it.
Yeah.
What more do I do? When I saw that recovery, I couldn't withhold that from the next patient.
Sure. Of course.
I have to do that for the next patient.
Yeah.
And when the next patient came in, I had now a good understanding that I'm dealing with a hypersensitivity kind of reaction.
Okay.
And so the other mediators, I knew there's other mediators here. And so it became a basket of medication to clear those chemical mediators. So after the antihistamine, I added montelukast, which mops up leukotrienes, which is another chemical mediator.
Okay.
I knew you get platelet activating factor, which will cause clotting. And so I added aspirin to thin the blood. And so that became the way I treated it. It's steroid plus these things to modulate the mediators that were there. And I had very speedy recoveries. I mean, I've had patients with 60% saturation who were washing the car the next day.
From 60 to
Washing the car.
Just to reaffirm this, right? So anything below 95% oxygen saturation is not really good.
Yeah.
Anything lower than 95, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a patient at 60,
yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
It's a very dangerous thing. But remember as well, no one was coming out of hospital alive.
Yes, at that point, no one was, because they didn't know what to do.
I couldn't even tell a patient to go to hospital. They refused.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way to do this, outside hospital.
Right.
And when I saw that quick recovery with the first patient,
Right.
I knew that, okay, I'm getting good recoveries. I need to see how well patients are recovering. So I had patients where I'd keep them in my practice,
Okay.
give them the antihistamine, but I'd give them an antihistamine injection. Quicker delivery.
Yeah.
And within an hour, you'd see the saturation starting to climb. And within an hour. So from the 60%, within an hour, you were in the 80s. And within another 2 or 3 hours, you're in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the next day, you're back to yourself. It doesn't take long for me to stop a bee sting reaction.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? The guy doesn't stay sick for a long time.
Yeah.
The longer I leave him,
Yeah.
the longer to reverse it.
Right.
So quick and aggressive treatment becomes the order of the day.
Quick and aggressive. Okay, right.
To turn this around.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. Now, when I saw that, I realized, okay, there's a reaction to something here.
Yeah.
And it's always happening on the 8th day. So I had to warn patients. When you came in with flu, I had to interrogate you as to which was the day this started.
Okay.
The exact day you noticed the first feeling of being unwell.
That's day
And
one.
exactly the same day a week later.
Yeah.
If it was a Monday, 8th day would be a Monday a week later.
Yeah.
I'd warn you about that day.
Oh.
To say, you'll get better, but you watch that day. And on that day, if something triggers, you come back immediately because quick and aggressive. Don't wait 2 or 3 days. I'm going to have a handful to deal with. And I started educating patients about the 8th day and watch for this reaction. Not everyone has it.
Yeah.
But if you do, it's the start of a second phase. That's it. That's the deadly part of this illness progression.
Yeah.
The first part is just a mild viral infection that tends to pass.
Right.
But it's from the 8th day onwards that the deterioration occurs very suddenly. And you better be able to tell when that occurs.
Right.
And that was the education of patients to try and spread the word in my community.
So how did you do that education? I mean, patients came, you just told them? Oh.
I told them about it. I started to explain it to them.
Yeah.
What happened, Manvir, strangely, I had 2 priests.
2 priests, okay.
That came to my practice on separate occasions. And I explained this to them, your 8th day. And both on that very day deteriorated from almost completely recovered.
Right.
So they rushed back to me, treated them. Within a day or 2, they were back to themselves.
Okay.
And they went to the congregation and said, this doctor predicted when I was going to die. And I don't know how he knew, but it was the 8th day. And they started telling their congregations about it.
Oh, wow.
And it was the religious fraternity that spread the word around Port Edward and my surrounding villages and things about this fatal 8th day.
Okay.
And so I even impressed on illiterate patients about this.
Yeah.
And that's how the word got around, that watch that day.
Oh, so suddenly everybody
knew about that 8th day.
Yeah.
And it became a thing.
Yeah.
This 8th day.
Yeah.
Watch that day. In fact,
and do you know which part of 2020 or 2021 that this has happened? Do you know the month?
What do you mean?
Which part of the year? Because
I had my first
early.
I had my first case in March 2020.
Okay.
By May, I had figured it out.
Okay.
So by June, I wrote this article.
By June, you wrote this article that
covered the entirety of COVID,
right,
talking about the virus, what we're seeing, that it's not a viral infection that's causing the problem. It's more about a pathogenic protein.
Yeah.
I called it viral debris at that time.
Viral debris.
Some kind of viral debris that was being left behind was triggering a process.
Yeah.
Because while it was an intact virus, you never had the problem.
Yeah.
You just had a viral infection. But after the viral infection looked like it subsided completely, something triggered this process. So it's likely some kind of viral debris. When your body broke it up, then you reacted. Some.
Okay, for some of us.
Yeah, not everyone.
Yeah.
And so when I figured that out, we were having a lot of deaths in the townships and things like that.
Okay.
And my staff came to me and said, look, we're having miraculous recoveries. I mean, patients are walking in almost dead, and the next day they're fine, because it was my staff's responsibility
Sure,
to keep a track of every patient and giving them a call the next day to make sure I've been aggressive enough to turn the reaction.
Yeah.
And they said, look, you're going to have to tell the world about this.
Okay.
And I laughed and I said, you do realize you're asking me to take on the World Health Organization and the rest? Because I realized this is a lab-made virus.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it because of that genetic insert. And nobody wants to talk about it.
Sure.
So I wrote this article trying to be as uncontroversial as I can, just to direct treatment options. How do we treat this?
Right.
So that I could spread that message.
Yeah.
But the controversy in the article was the last sentence, which said, if we can negate all the mortality and morbidity of COVID illness with early treatment, it would make a vaccine rush to market wholly unnecessary.
Yeah, because at that time already they were talking about trying to cure. Stop this.
Yeah,
this
and the only direction was towards a vaccine.
Yes.
And remember, the vaccine needed an emergency use authorization for it to bypass the normal rigorous testing and the rest. So when you're in a crisis with no solution, then you can get an emergency use authorization, which negates all the testing and things to try and solve the problem. You're saying there's no other alternative.
Okay.
Now, with all the doctors that came out with alternatives, it was the reason that needed to be suppressed. Because if we found an alternative, you wouldn't get an emergency use authorization. You'd have to put it through all the testing.
Sure, obviously. I mean, US FDA and all that. It usually takes 8-10 years. So I've got a question. So when you say the word vaccine,
yes,
right, vaccine, the word vaccine as we understand it, right? And then now you've just described that this is a reaction
to a protein.
To a protein or something.
Yes.
So it's a reaction. My body may have it. The next person may not have it. The next 10 people might not have it. So my body may have it, right? Does that mean that I needed a vaccine? Is the vaccine the correct word for this?
Look, a vaccine cannot stop what was happening, because this wasn't a viral infection killing people. It was a pathogenic protein that was causing a bad immune response in some. So a vaccine is not the way to treat a bad immune response. Yes, you can use a vaccine to kill a virus, but the virus was not the pathogen.
So here, okay, all right. So that's the point I was trying to make. So the virus is not the enemy here.
Yeah. It's just a vector.
Okay.
A delivery system.
The delivery system. Okay.
That's all.
So if I get it and then I have all these reactions, but somebody else gets it and they're absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the 8 day.
That's on the 8th day, you're going to trigger a reaction in some.
Right. So vaccine is not the correct word to use.
Yes. A vaccine is not the correct, let's say vaccine is not the correct medical intervention to use.
Okay.
Because it's not treating the pathogen.
Yeah.
The virus is not the pathogen, it's the protein.
Yeah.
And then as well, a virus is meant to trigger a certain kind of immune response.
Okay.
That's what a vaccine does.
Yeah.
You take a vaccine, it gives you immunity to something.
Yes.
Now, we've got traditional vaccines.
Yeah, smallpox, polio.
Right. And if you look at how they make vaccines, you can either have a live attenuated vaccine where you put a live organism into your body, but it doesn't cause illness.
Okay.
But because it's living and it lives in your body all your life, that vaccine will give you lifelong immunity.
Okay.
Because you're constantly fighting this thing, but this thing is not causing illness.
Okay.
Right? You get heat-killed vaccines, where you kill the bug or whatever it is, and you put it into the body, you have a response to it. But those vaccines might need a booster.
Okay.
Right? To keep triggering the immune system to keep fighting. And after 2 or 3 boosters, you create memory. And so those are the ones that have multiple doses.
Okay.
Initially. Right? So you took it at, say, 6 months, and then you took it at 2 years, and you took it at 5 years, and then you're done.
Yeah, okay.
And then you get protein-based vaccines where we inject a protein. If we find that the certain protein is the pathogen causing the problem, then we inject your body with that protein. You develop antibodies to that protein.
Okay.
Right? And so when that protein on the virus presents itself to you, you got the antibody to grab onto it and kill the virus.
Okay.
Right, so those are the 3 basic vaccines we had.
Right.
Now suddenly we come out with a vaccine that's based on mRNA technology.
And what is mRNA?
Now, messenger RNA is a code.
It's a code.
It's a code.
Yeah.
Like the virus sequence, it's a code.
Okay.
So the genetic code codes for a protein. Right?
Okay, right.
So your body has genetic codes that code for all these different proteins. So it's like a library, a cookbook.
Yeah.
And This mRNA is basically the code for a protein. So what they're doing is putting a code into your body.
Right.
Your body will make the protein.
Okay.
And then when your body makes this protein, you will make antibodies to that protein.
Okay.
And it's the antibodies that they were looking for.
Okay.
So that when the virus comes in, these antibodies recognize that protein
Yeah.
and will fight it.
Okay.
Right? So that was the understanding behind using messenger RNA.
Right.
But now you got messenger RNA, which is a very volatile substance. It degrades very quickly.
Okay.
So they had to add on the ends of this code a pseudouridine tail so that your body can't break it down too quickly.
Oh, okay.
Give it some time to make some of that protein.
Yeah.
Then you needed to deliver it into the cell.
Yeah.
And that's where the lipid nanoparticles come into play,
Okay.
the nanotechnology that they used.
Right.
Now, the lipid nanoparticles were developed not to remain in one spot. These lipid nanoparticles were developed over time to biodistribute. That means they can go into every tissue in your body. They can take something and put them everywhere.
Okay.
And I knew that these lipid nanoparticles were unsafe for humans. All the testing done prior to this vaccine that came out,
Yeah.
all the patients that were given this technology died. And it was reserved for terminally ill cancer patients. And that too, when we say terminally ill, really end of life.
Oh, okay.
So that you could take the chance and try and advance this technology. And that is as far as we got, until suddenly they decided to use it in a vaccine and vaccinate the entire world. So I looked at it and it didn't make sense. And I'll explain why it didn't make sense. You're dealing with messenger RNA,
Right.
new technology, difficult. You're dealing with lipid nanoparticles as the delivery system for this messenger RNA into the human body, which we knew is toxic. You were telling people it'll stay in your arm,
Yeah.
but I knew that this technology was designed to go around your body,
Sure.
right? And then the bottom line, your body's going to make spike protein
How's
from the messenger
from the
RNA.
messenger RNA?
When you make that spike protein,
Yeah.
your body will then make antibodies
Sure.
to the spike protein.
Yeah.
So what are we trying to achieve through this technology? Antibodies to spike protein.
Yeah.
That's the end product we're
That's
trying to
what we
achieve.
want. Yeah.
But you can get that with me injecting spike protein directly into you. You make antibodies to spike protein.
So you mean you can inject?
Spike protein and trigger a reaction. Why do I need to turn your body into a spike protein factory with all these variables when I can make spike protein outside your body and give you a injection and you'll trigger antibodies? So basically, the messenger RNA technology
Right.
is a glorified protein-based vaccine. It's the protein that
Right.
triggers
Yeah.
the response.
Sure.
So you're making an antibody to spike protein. So it's a traditional protein-based vaccine with an unnecessary technology added onto it. So my question was,
Right.
you can manufacture spike protein outside the human body. And when I give you a spike protein injection, you'll make antibodies to spike protein. I can measure it. I don't need a minus 90 degree Pfizer fridge. It's a stable technology. We know how long it'll last, how long it will take to wane. When do you need a booster for it? So it makes it all very manageable. But you're using this technology with all these variables, and that's going to cause problems.
Sure.
And of course, when you are in a rush to make something, you don't choose a tool you've never used before. You choose a tool that you know how it works.
Right. That's the mRNA, right?
Yeah, the mRNA is a new technology.
Yes.
So if you're going to do something speedily, use a tool you know.
Okay.
You know how to do this. Why do you choose a tool that you've never used before? And then you want speed to the process,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So all this didn't make sense to me.
Okay.
And where the danger to humanity showed up, in the second wave, I realized that the protein is spike protein. That insert coded for a protein called spike protein. First, I said viral debris.
Okay.
In the second wave, I realized it's spike protein.
Okay.
That's the pathogen,
Okay.
the pathogenic protein.
That's the dangerous thing.
That's the dangerous thing triggering all the problems.
Yeah.
Now, suddenly you got a world talking about messenger RNA making spike protein in your body.
Yeah.
But that's the toxin. That's the pathogen.
Yeah.
Why would you vaccinate the planet with something that'll get them to make something that's toxic to them?
Okay.
And so I started talking out against the vaccines from a technology perspective and a science perspective before the first vaccine was ever brought to market.
And this was in 2021, I think.
No, this was in late 2020.
Yeah, but I think
The vaccine was
Yeah.
getting to its final developmental
final
stages.
I think,
And I kept trying to say, no, you're going down the wrong road here.
Okay.
You're going to cause problems.
So that's the logic behind where you came from a science
perspective.
point of view where you said you need spike protein, we can make, and we can inject you with spike protein, and we'll be able to know how long it can last.
And we're getting the same end result.
Yeah,
Antibodies.
the same end result.
Yeah.
And so this spike protein that you say that we can inject into me, there's a period where it'll evaporate in my body.
And I can give you a booster.
Yeah, so you give me a booster. But the mRNA stays in the body, right? Because you said it is designed to go to every cell.
Yes, it was designed to do that, Manvir, but they misinformed the public. They said it'll stay in your arm. They said it'll only make spike protein for a few days, right?
Okay.
To date, we're watching how long the vaccine's making that spike protein.
Yeah.
And it's 700 days and counting. The longest study was 700 days.
Okay.
And in 700 days after the vaccine, you're still making the spike protein.
Still making the spike protein.
Well, why would that be? And of course, when people started saying it's showing up in testes and all these different areas of the body, I could have predicted that before they made the vaccine. The technology used to distribute it was meant to distribute it around the body. So it was a lie that it's going to stay in your arm in the first place. You're using a technology built to biodistribute.
Right, yeah, of course.
So how can you say it's going to remain local?
Yeah.
And of course, it's unnecessary technology, seeing that you could circumvent all this by just using spike protein as the trigger.
Yeah, but why would they say it's going to stay in my arm? It's not going to help me if it stays in my arm because...
No, if it stays in your arm, it's going to trigger a response where you make antibodies, which will circulate.
Sure, okay. Right.
And I can do that just with the spike protein injection. I don't need the messenger RNA. I don't need the lipid nanoparticle. Just need the spike protein. And remember, the virus changed. So
yes,
the spike
mutated.
protein mutated. And it was mutations in that spike protein. So I could keep changing the protein with every booster to match the virus. Now, you made an mRNA vaccine matched to the first virus variant, and it became obsolete, but you kept giving it.
Yes.
It wasn't making the same spike protein.
Yes, I did ask that question then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were saying that, okay, I get the shot. I get the smallpox shot, I get the polio shot, so I don't get polio. I don't get smallpox, right? But I get the COVID shot, but I still get COVID.
Yes. You see, and that is where the manipulation came in as well. A true vaccine, by giving you immunity, prevents infection and transmission.
Okay.
Right. At the least, it might not prevent infection, but it might prevent transmission. Right? Okay. But a true vaccine should prevent infection and transmission.
Sure.
And if I get a vaccine and it prevents me from getting infected and transmitting it, benefits you.
Right.
Right? So that is a group benefit to a vaccine.
Yeah.
Very early on after the vaccination program started, I started seeing patients who were vaccinated having COVID.
Still, yeah, of course.
So clearly, it didn't stop infection and transmission.
Okay.
Then they came out with this narrative to say it stops severe illness and death.
Okay.
Right? They accepted it doesn't stop transmission. Well, it took a while for them to accept that.
Yeah.
But as a doctor on the front line seeing COVID, I realized that with the first patient that came in fully vaccinated and had a COVID infection. Clearly, the vaccine didn't work.
Yeah.
Then they said it stops severe illness and death. But that is an individual benefit. My intervention, treatment, stops severe illness and death. Same thing. So now you're saying it stops severe illness and death. That's not the definition of a vaccine. That's the definition of a therapeutic. It stops severe infection, illness and death. You're treating illness.
Yes.
You're not preventing an illness.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I don't give my treatment to people that are not sick. So the only people that can get severe side effects from my treatment are those that are sick.
Yeah.
But you're giving the vaccine to people that are well.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I looked at that and thought, the minute you found that this vaccine does not stop transmission, there's no group benefit. It's only an individual benefit. So if there's only an individual benefit, you'll never get to herd immunity. And at that point, when you realize this doesn't stop transmission, you should have stopped trying for herd immunity. You're never going to get there. It's an individual benefit.
Sure.
And that's where the nonsensical nature of what the global, thing that was happening, it just didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
You're forcing this vaccine on, and then mandating it on people.
Yeah.
When you got an effective treatment here with no side effects, why would you go down this road and do it? So I realized at that point, I'm dealing with an agenda. There's something more to this than meets the eye.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I knew it was a lab leak. Or let's not call it a lab leak. Let's say it was a lab-manipulated virus.
Right.
I knew that the virus was a distraction. It was more about a pathogenic protein.
Right.
And this pathogenic protein I recognized as spike protein being made by that insert.
Okay.
So clearly, whatever lab manipulation happened to this virus was the cause of the pathology.
Right.
we were exposed to coronavirus previously. It was just an ordinary flu. Never had this reaction. Now suddenly you've got a lab-manipulated virus causing all these problems.
Yeah.
At that point, my only concern was whether this was intentional or not. We know it was made in a lab.
Yeah.
But was there an intent to it, or was it just a lab leak?
Right.
And when the vaccine came out, I knew that we were going to see trouble. Because now you're putting in this pathogenic protein that's going to be constantly made. It's not just a passing dose like a viral infection.
Sure.
It's going to be a constant production. And so I was talking out against the vaccine, saying, please, we've got to be cautious. And because of my sight on spike protein,
Yeah.
I looked at its structure. I knew what it was made of. We were looking at that direction of research. It had bits of a protein called GP120.
Right.
GP120 is seen in HIV. It's an HIV protein, which suppresses your immunity.
Okay.
GP120 also has part of it, epitopes on it, that are found on the rabies virus.
Okay.
That will have neurologic issues. I saw prion-like proteins, part of the spike protein.
Right.
These cause nerve problems.
Okay.
I saw other proteins that will cause coagulation, clotting issues.
Sure.
I saw the immune suppression leading to turbo cancers and all those kind of things. So in that first early stage, this is early 21,
Right.
when the vaccine was rolled out, I expected these things to happen, just from a biologic understanding of how spike protein works.
Right.
And that's what made me so controversial.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with this agenda and the controversy that you find yourself enveloped in.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break, come back more with Healthcare Simplified with Manvir Victor. See you in a bit. Hi, welcome back to Healthcare Simplified with Manvir Victor. We're still in here with Dr. Shankara Chetty. My brain is about to burst. So, all this that you discovered, the fact that it was an insert, it was a man-made, the spike proteins, all these things led you to believe that there was an agenda.
Yes.
And you were obviously mired in a controversy. You still are.
Yes.
There are charges against you.
Yes.
With regards to explain that. Yeah.
Look, just a quick understanding of the journey.
Okay.
The whole world was talking about the virus.
Absolutely.
I went on to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My article was put on LinkedIn. And Professor Chris Newton was the head of molecular biology in Edinburgh, had noticed a difference in the way I viewed this pandemic. And he wrote to me to say, your comments are very different, and where can I see your work? He saw my article and immediately wrote to me and said, the whole world missed the boat. You need to tell the world about this.
Okay.
They're all looking at a virus, and this is not about a virus.
Okay.
It's about a pathogenic protein.
Right.
So he arranged an interview that weekend with Dr. Philip McMillan, who was the lead COVID researcher at that time, looking at the world and how to figure the problem. That went viral around the world.
Okay.
It brought an understanding. I then got contacted by the Malaysian Association for Integrative Medicine. So at that point in mid-21, trained hundreds of doctors in Malaysia and mentored them.
Okay.
Had interaction with the government as well to say we need to get treatment to patients.
Right.
It's one thing isolating a patient, but you need aggressive early treatment. Otherwise, they're going to end up in hospital either way.
Right.
And so I had that impact. The second, I was called by the government of Meghalaya, North India.
Okay.
As an advisor to them.
Right.
And I first educated all their specialists in their hospitals.
Right.
The head of the biggest ICU called me back in 2 weeks to say, I'd like you to educate the rural doctors because we started your treatment protocol in our hospital and immediately negated 3 out of 4 ventilations. And we realized that the 4th ventilation was a guy coming too late. And he had treated his grandmom in that way. And he called me back and said, they shouldn't be in hospital. You need to train the rural doctors so they stop getting them into hospital. We need to be quick and aggressive. And if you look at Meghalaya's statistics, in that Delta wave, it had climbed from 10 deaths a month up to 350 a month.
Okay.
In September, I went in and started the training program.
September 2021?
2021.
Right.
By the end of September, we had dropped it to 50. By the end of October, we were down to 3.
3.
And they started counting deaths every 3 months ever since because they had never had enough deaths to count in every month. Now, they've honored me. I went and met with the government.
Yeah.
My article was sent to my principal in my medical college.
Right.
He invited me as an expert COVID faculty to present it to the academic society. So I think I'm one of the COVID experts in the world that's not self-proclaimed.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah, I've brought a lot to what's happened in the pandemic.
Right.
The controversy comes out where I knew that this protein is poison. It's going to harm the world.
Right.
And of course, a poison on my desk will kill no one.
Sure.
If you chose to take it, would be a bad decision, but I'd have to save your life because you had a choice.
Right.
But the day I force you to take it, knowing that it's a poison, it's a criminal act. It's a poisoning.
Right.
And so all I did was I sat back and waited to see who's going to force who to take this vaccine.
Yeah.
And the day the mandate came out, it
Yeah.
clarified all my suspicions.
Right.
I had interaction with the Department of Defense in the States.
Okay.
A lot of them contacted me when they saw that I'd figured this out,
Okay.
that I'd found out that, hey, this is the pathogen. So as part of my case, I've led a lot of the research by showing that this is about a pathogenic protein, by showing that this was made in a lab and there seems to be an agenda.
Okay.
So I got people to go and look,
Right.
just putting out that curiosity there.
Yeah.
And well, with my case, they've charged me with everything from my understanding of the pathophysiology to my treatment being unsanctioned, to me talking about out against the vaccine, to the vaccine injuries that occurred, to this being a deliberate agenda.
Okay.
So my case seems to be one of the broadest in the world. It's not just about a single drug like I've
Right.
elected,
Yeah.
but it brings all the science together. And as fate might have it, because of me leading this fight, I've got some of the best witnesses in the world testifying in every one of those departments.
Wow.
I even have Charles Rixey, who is a chemical, biologic, nuclear, and radiation weapon specialist.
Weapon specialist.
He's a biologic weapon specialist with the U.S. Marines.
Right.
He is part of a team called Drastic that was brought together during Trump's first presidency to look at the origins of SARS-CoV-2. What they found was that SARS-CoV-2 was 20 years in the making. They looked at all the research around the world over the last 20 years, put it into a timeline. Look, it was done in different centers.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So they just put it into a timeline and looked at how this was manipulated.
Sure.
And it followed the handbook of making a bioweapon to the T.
Sure.
Then they looked at which company was involved in controlling the research.
Sure.
And it's a company called EcoHealth Alliance, run by Peter Daszak, who is the fundi of gain-of-function research.
Okay.
That they came out with that document end of 21 to say this is what's happened. That was suppressed by the Biden administration. Now with Trump back in the presidency, the
Right.
plastic papers have come out.
Oh, really?
They are being spoken about in the US Senate at this point in time,
Okay.
right? Then what happened, we had a colonel from the US military leak a diffuse proposal to us, which was signed by the US government in 2018. That proposal clearly shows that the NIH funded EcoHealth Alliance,
NIH is the National Institute of Health
in the US, and the direction for the research was controlled by the CIA and DARPA with the knowledge of the US military. So this is being spoken about in the States right now.
Right.
So we're well aware that this was a release of a bioweapon. And of course, my case bringing this out
Sure.
is my intention is to show that the entirety of the pandemic, be it the virus or the vaccine, was man-made.
Yeah.
And it was a military operation.
Sure.
You can see from the world around, it was rolled out as a military operation. No one does everything in that way, and
Yeah.
And I think if we show the world that it was man-made, it negates any future pandemic threats, and it
Sure.
forces the world to go down this road and look at what biologic research is happening and prevent any further
Wow.
bioweapon development.
Yeah.
Manipulation of biology has great implications for humanity, and we don't have the frameworks to control it. Yet we have frameworks to control nuclear weapons, but this has greater impact.
Right.
Nuclear weapons kill indiscriminately. Biologic weapons can be very discreet. No one hears a bang. No, there's no infrastructure damage, and you can choose who will die, unlike with conventional weaponry.
Right.
So a bioweapon holds this great ability to be a weapon that's very discreet and discriminate in how it kills. So we need to stop all the research globally into this kind of biotechnology
Right.
until we set up proper frameworks
Okay.
as to what's acceptable and what's not.
So I would consider myself a proponent of vaccines.
Yes.
You know, I obviously have had series of vaccines in my life, polio, BCG, even the BCG. And I was looking at some of your data, and you're talking about BCG having made a difference. The fact that people had BCG makes a difference when you have COVID, because there's some antibodies that come from that.
Yes, that will cover that kind of reaction.
Yeah.
So, vaccines do have their place.
Yes.
Vaccines do have their place, but your vaccine must give you a certain immune response. Remember, Manvir, when you talk of an immune response, we're very unique in our physiology.
Yeah.
And we all grow up in different environments and all that kind of thing. And so we're very unique. So if you wanted to target something where everyone would respond differently,
right,
you target your immune system. So each person will have a slightly different response to it, and we won't realize it's the same trigger,
right,
causing a myriad of different reactions. And that's the reason with all the reactions we saw, we could never pin it down to that poison. It was targeted in that way.
Okay.
So vaccines have their benefit.
Absolutely.
But have their benefit in illnesses where there is no treatment.
Okay.
So we have viruses that are very deadly.
Right.
Smallpox. Fine. Vaccinate against it.
Yeah.
But why are you vaccinating against chickenpox? Yes, people die of chickenpox. But that was before we had effective treatment. And if you look at the few deaths you have from chickenpox, they're in a population where they're immunocompromised. There's some other underlying factor that caused that death.
Right.
So why are you vaccinating millions against chickenpox? Now, remember, when I was a kid, we never had a chickenpox vaccine.
Okay.
And when a child got chickenpox, we had a chickenpox party.
Yes.
And get everyone get chickenpox and it's done and dusted.
Yeah.
So why are you going down this road trying to prevent it? And what that's going to do is going to make, once you vaccinate, and with the vaccine, that is not sterilizing. That means you can take a chickenpox vaccine, but still get chickenpox.
Yeah, okay.
By doing that, the virus is going to mutate and become stronger to evade the immunity from the vaccine.
Okay.
And so you'll drive stronger and stronger chickenpox variants.
Right.
Leave it to nature to settle itself. Why are we going down that road?
Right.
So the vaccine schedule has just grown and grown and grown.
Right.
But it's affecting the immunology of the planet.
Yeah.
And our immune responses. And that's what helps us tolerate and thrive in our environments.
Right.
Our ability to tolerate our environment.
So where do we go from here right now? I mean, lots of governments did what they had to do to save their population. They thought that time.
Apparently. Yes.
And, I've been in media, and I was in media at that time when COVID was going on. And I did read a little bit about something in South Africa. Maybe it was you. I don't know what it was. But it was suppressed. We didn't get the full picture. And everybody and their uncle had a theory
yes.
At that time. So we go like, okay, let's look at the science. And the science that was delivered to us was about this vaccine.
Yeah.
Right? But where do we go from here?
I think the look, I've not taken my eye off the ball.
Okay.
So we understand that we have a population, a majority of the world, with a toxin circulating. That's going to have implications.
Okay.
So we're seeing the excess mortality from a wide diversity of different things.
Yes.
Turbo cancers, strokes, heart attacks, young people dropping dead.
Yes.
But nobody wants to pin it on the vaccine.
Yeah.
Simply because, the diversity with which it can kill. And the diversity makes it difficult to pin it.
Sure.
And of course, the time frame. Some die within a week, some die within 3 years.
Yes.
So you can't say it's the same poison.
Yeah.
But I kept my eye on the spike protein being the toxin. Where we are at the moment, we know that the body is producing the spike protein constantly. I've been working with friends in Germany. Somehow we got together and we've developed certain nutraceutical products that are able to detox your body from the spike protein. Right? We have in Germany managed to develop testing.
Okay.
Where we can quantify the amount of spike protein in your body. I can't understand why we haven't done that. Why isn't there an impetus to find these kind of tests that can quantify the illness?
Right.
And it's simply because nobody wants you to know about it. The money is not there.
Okay.
So it's all privately funded. We've been trying to work, behind the scenes to try and move this research on with limited resources. But we've developed testing now where we can quantify spike. We've shown with putting you on these combinations of nutraceuticals, we can decrease it and remove it from your body.
Oh,
We have as well in the process of developing a rapid test for spike,
okay.
where you can have it in your surgery and just prick a finger and tell whether that patient's got circulating spike.
Right.
So we managed to come to ways to detox the body from the spike
Okay.
protein itself. So that's shows hope.
Sure.
We'll get there. The problem is we also found that this virus has the ability to infect the bacteria in your gut.
In my gut.
Yes, and a lot of patients after COVID infection
Yes.
will end up with chronic gut problems.
Oh.
Those chronic gut problems are because the virus is designed such that it can also infect the bacteria in your gut.
Oh.
And that forms a reservoir where you constantly have COVID virus.
Right.
How that came about was that we were treating long COVID and we found that patients that relapsed had gut issues. And I, in my article, I noted that the Chinese found a positive PCR rectal swab in 2020. Means it was in your poop.
Yes.
And why weren't we looking at poop? And a mask ain't going to stop you spreading it in that route.
Yes.
A year later, you tell me it's in sewage, but we still didn't look at stool. I couldn't understand why. And when we saw this problem with gut issues,
Yes.
we contacted Carlo Brogna, who's an Italian scientist,
Right.
researcher looking into stool samples. And what he found was high viral loads in stool samples,
Okay.
even 70 days after you recovered.
Oh.
In some patients, it lasted up to 70, 75 days. High load of virus. And when you have a high load of virus, the virus needs a host to replicate.
Sure.
But clearly the patient was well.
Right.
So it wasn't replicating in the patient. So he took the stool sample, centrifuged it out, and took the supernatant, put it onto fresh stool, and cultivated it. Grew like wildfire. That proved that the virus had the ability to replicate in the bacteria of your gut.
Oh.
So it could infect the bugs in you. And then what he also found was a high toxicity in those people's stool samples. We then looked at spectrometry to look at what are these toxins. They
Right.
are peptides that have these strange. And we found similarities to 15 different kinds of snake venom. We found 3 different types of sea snail poisons and starfish poison. So this virus was infecting the bacteria in your gut
Yeah.
and getting them to make toxic substances akin to venoms. And so it's a slow poisoning because it's in your gut and you won't know. Now, if you look at how venoms work, they can damage your tissue. We've seen COVID do that.
Yeah.
They can cause bleeding and clotting.
Yeah.
We've seen COVID do that. And they can paralyze their hosts, neurotoxins.
Yeah.
Seen COVID do that. So a lot of it is, if I had to look back now,
Right.
I knew that this was an intentionally designed bioweapon. But I'm in awe of how well it was done, that it can affect such a myriad of systems.
Wow.
And in so many ways. So from a biologic science perspective, it's the pinnacle of what my work is.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, you scared the Jesus out of me.
Well, we've seen, Manvir, we've seen different people around the world
Right.
talking bits and pieces about what I'm discussing.
Yeah.
But I think because I looked at it from the start from a biologic science perspective,
Yeah.
and then took the time to examine a patient and understand the evolution of the illness,
Right.
exactly what was happening,
Yeah.
I could put all the pieces together
Yeah.
and start to figure out exactly what transpired. So it made me one of the most controversial doctors on the planet.
Wow.
But I guess, it's my journey to bring it to the world.
Yeah,
We're under attack.
I wish you the best on that journey and the best in your charges.
Yeah.
And the case that we will definitely be following it now that all this is out in the open.
Yes.
We're able to discuss this. We're able to look at it in core detail. I mean, thank you so much for coming on the show and explaining it to me. My brain is just.
My journey has been about trying to enlighten.
Yeah.
This information means nothing in my hands.
Absolutely.
I couldn't save the world with my 2 hands. I needed to share it.
Yeah.
I needed to awaken humanity to the threat we face.
Right.
And if we're going to move forward, we need to all accept that we're under threat.
Yeah.
That there is this severe threat to humanity posed by bioresearch.
Yeah.
And we need to find a framework to control that. In fact, the best way to do this would be to stop all biotechnology research globally, dead in its tracks, until we set the framework.
Yeah.
This has the most severe implications for humanity. And one of the things that I was scared of is that this vaccine will change the physiology of the planet. And doctors today
Right.
are struggling to figure out what's going on, because the human being you see today doesn't have the same physiology
Yes.
as the unvaccinated one you saw
Yeah.
before this pandemic. And so the pathology you see can't make sense of it. And until you understand how we got to this point, you're never going to help people and save lives. And that's my job.
And it's our job as well here at Vital Signs. We always talk about saving lives and spreading the information and making sure that at the end of the day, people have to look for that information,
Yes.
have to devour it, understand it, try to share it. But, we want to educate people
Yes.
on this. And so it was very intriguing that you were in town, and I was able to snag you for a chat after reading up extensively and trying to understand it. But, it's great to have you here explaining it to us layer by layer. And thank you so much for being a part of the show. And we'll definitely be following you. And the next time you're in town, we're definitely chatting. We're definitely chatting. And we will keep communication so that people know what's happening with you and latest things that you're doing. And I hope that detoxifying of the protein, the spike protein, really comes to play in the market, so that myself and other people.
I'm going to Germany next month.
Right.
It's my first trip there, so I'm going to meet people I've worked with through the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they're very eager to get to meet. We need to get this product out around the world.
Wow.
We actually had it developed in 2021 as a treatment for COVID. A friend of mine runs a nutraceutical company, developed this product. It was registered in India for the treatment of long COVID.
Right.
And because it's a nutraceutical that treats COVID, it was suppressed globally.
I see.
We've had to go back and re-register and try and find a way to get it out. But we've got now the clinical trials that show it does detox the body.
Wow.
We've got rat models. We've done all the different research that we need. He's invested heavily in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go to Germany. I'm going to start consulting virtually. There are a lot of people that need assistance. We want to start training programs for doctors as well, so that they know how to assist patients. And once I've looked at everything, by the end of next month, we want to see how we can get it out globally.
Wow. Well, definitely. I mean, here at Vital Signs, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
We'll share that information, and people can then choose whether they want it or not. Because that the choice of your health has to be in your hands.
Yes.
It absolutely has to be in your hands.
100%. And as a doctor, I don't treat patients. I teach patients to treat themselves, because I don't come home and make sure you take the medication I recommend. Yes. So it's the education that's most important.
Well, once again, thank you so much. And that's it for us right here on this mind-blowing Healthcare Simplified with Manvir Victor. See you again next time. Bye.